Before we dive into the epic story behind Gladiator II's long journey to the big screen, make sure to hit that subscribe button for all the latest updates in the world of film here on Starstruck TV. And don't forget to check out our other videos on Gladiator II. You won't want to miss a thing. When Gladiator hit theaters in 2000, it wasn't just a box office success. It became a cultural phenomenon. Directed by Ridley Scott and starring Russell Crowe as the valiant Maximus, the film won 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Actor. With its incredible mix of gripping drama, action-packed battles, and a hauntingly beautiful score by Hans Zimmer, Gladiator left audiences demanding more. But here's the kicker. Despite its immense popularity, a sequel didn't seem to be on the horizon anytime soon. Fans were left wondering, why no follow-up? The answer lies in a mix of creative roadblocks, studio politics, and the daunting challenge of living up to the original's towering legacy. Initial talks of a sequel. Believe it or not, talk of a Gladiator sequel began almost immediately after the first film's release. Ridley Scott, screenwriter David Franzoni, and producer Douglas Wick were all interested in exploring new angles. However, they faced one major problem. Maximus was dead. How could they possibly continue the story without him? According to Franzoni, one of the early ideas involved diving into the Roman afterlife and bringing Maximus back as a ghostly figure. Russell Crowe even pitched his own wild concept, Maximus reincarnated across different historical periods, from ancient Rome to the Crusades to modern warfare. While this might sound intriguing, the studio wasn't convinced it would work. Ultimately, the idea was shelved, and the franchise went dormant. Ownership troubles and changing studios. By 2006, another roadblock emerged. DreamWorks sold its rights to Gladiator, transferring ownership to Paramount Pictures. The legal and logistical tangle of transferring intellectual property delayed any real progress on the sequel. Studios also hesitated to greenlight a project with such high stakes. It had to not only honor the legacy of the original, but also satisfy a fiercely loyal fan base. For over a decade, Gladiator II languished in development hell, becoming one of Hollywood's most talked about what-could-have-been projects. Ridley Scott, busy with other ventures like Prometheus and The Martian, revisited the sequel concept sporadically. Each time, the same question lingered. How do you make a sequel without Maximus? Revival in 2018, a new direction. Things finally began to gain momentum in 2018, when Ridley Scott confirmed he was ready to take another shot at Gladiator II. This time, the story would focus on Lucius, the young nephew of Commodus, now grown up and grappling with Rome's corruption. Paul Mescal was cast to bring Lucius to life, a move that would breathe new energy into the franchise. Ridley Scott himself said in interviews, "We're not making a movie for the sake of it. It's a continuation of the ideas we started in Gladiator, the pursuit of justice, revenge, and redemption, but from a fresh perspective." This decision to follow Lucius allowed the film to organically connect to the original without trying to awkwardly resurrect Maximus. It also opened the door for fresh faces like Mescal, Pedro Pascal, and Denzel Washington, while still paying homage to the first film with returning stars like Connie Nielsen and Derek Jacobi. Challenges of casting and scheduling. Casting Gladiator II was no small feat. Securing top-tier talent while working around their packed schedules proved a monumental task. Paul Mescal, hot off his breakout role in Normal People, was cast as Lucius, bringing the perfect mix of intensity and vulnerability. Meanwhile, Pedro Pascal and Denzel Washington added major star power, but their commitments to other high-profile projects caused inevitable delays. The COVID-19 pandemic further complicated matters, leading to shifting schedules and disrupted production timelines. To make things even more difficult, the 2023 Hollywood writers and actors strikes brought filming to a screeching halt for nearly 5 months. For Ridley Scott and his team, keeping the momentum alive during these setbacks was a Herculean effort. Ridley Scott's relentless vision. One thing that kept the project moving forward, even through all the obstacles, was Ridley Scott's unwavering passion. At 86 years old, Scott remains a filmmaking powerhouse, directing and producing with the energy of someone half his age. He personally oversaw every aspect of the production, from the screenplay to casting to location scouting. Speaking about the long-awaited sequel, Scott told reporters, "I've never stopped thinking about Rome. It's such a rich and layered world to explore. I always knew we'd come back to it, when the story and the timing were right." And with that, Gladiator II finally came to life. From vision to reality, epic sets and historical accuracy. Ridley Scott is known for his meticulous attention to detail, and Gladiator II was no exception. The production team went to extraordinary lengths to recreate the grandeur of ancient Rome, blending massive practical sets with cutting-edge CGI. The Colosseum, in particular, was brought to life in a way that surpassed even the original film, with a focus on making it feel even more immersive and alive. Scott insisted on using real locations wherever possible. Filming took place across Europe and North Africa, with Malta serving as a key backdrop, as it did for the original film. The sets were a labor of love, constructed with stunning accuracy to reflect Rome's architectural style during the era of Geta and Caracalla. According to production designer Arthur Max, the team even studied ancient Roman texts and artifacts to ensure that every pillar, mosaic, and weapon felt authentic. The challenges of filming the gladiator battles. One of the defining elements of Gladiator was, of course, the visceral and intense gladiatorial battles. In the sequel, Ridley Scott and the stunt team upped the ante, choreographing fights that were not only thrilling, but also deeply symbolic. Paul Mescal's Lucius, for example, mimics some of Maximus's movements in the arena, creating a direct connection to his father's legacy. Filming these sequences was no easy task. Mescal underwent extensive training to prepare for the physical demands of the role, while Denzel Washington and Pedro Pascal had their own grueling action scenes to master. Stunt coordinator Rob Inch revealed that the team experimented with new camera rigs and drone technology to capture the battles in ways that felt fresh and dynamic. The result? Audiences feel like they're right there in the sand, dodging blows and soaking in the intensity. Navigating modern Hollywood's challenges. As much as Gladiator II is a timeless epic, its production faced very modern hurdles. One of the most significant challenges was the 2023 Hollywood labor strikes, which halted production for 5 months. Ridley Scott, however, remained optimistic, using the downtime to refine the script and experiment with visual effects concepts. Scott also had to navigate the ever-changing landscape of blockbuster filmmaking. Unlike 2000, when Gladiator thrived as a standalone historical drama, today's audiences are accustomed to cinematic universes and high-concept franchises. Paramount Pictures reportedly pushed for Gladiator II to include setups for potential spin-offs or sequels, but Scott held firm. His focus was on telling a self-contained, emotionally resonant story. As Scott explained in interviews, "I don't make films to set up other films. If it happens naturally, great, but Gladiator II had to stand on its own." Returning faces and legacy moments. For fans of the original Gladiator, the inclusion of Connie Nielsen and Derek Jacobi brought a welcome sense of continuity. Nielsen's Lucilla plays a pivotal role in the sequel, offering a window into the political intrigue and personal stakes driving the story. Her chemistry with Paul Mescal adds emotional weight, particularly as mother and son attempt to reconcile their fractured relationship. There's also an emotional homage to Russell Crowe's Maximus. While Crowe doesn't physically appear in the film, flashbacks and symbolic moments keep his presence alive. Lucius discovering Maximus's sword and armor is one of the most powerful sequences, bridging the gap between the original film and its sequel. The risks and payoffs of revisiting a classic. Making a sequel to a beloved classic like Gladiator was always going to be risky. The original film is a cultural touchstone, with a legacy that casts a long shadow. But Ridley Scott and his team leaned into this challenge, crafting a film that honors the original while forging its own identity. One major risk was expanding the story's scope. Gladiator II takes audiences beyond Rome, exploring parts of the empire like North Africa and Persia. This broader canvas allows the film to delve deeper into themes of imperialism, identity, and legacy. However, some critics have noted that the expanded scope occasionally leads to pacing issues, with certain subplots feeling underdeveloped. Despite this, the film's core narrative, Lucius's journey of revenge, redemption, and self-discovery, anchors the story. Paul Mescal's performance has been universally praised, with many calling it a career-defining role. Ridley Scott reflects on the journey. For Ridley Scott, Gladiator II represents more than just a return to ancient Rome. It's a testament to perseverance. In a recent interview, he shared his thoughts on the 24-year gap between the films. Sometimes, a story just needs time. I didn't want to rush it. Gladiator was lightning in a bottle, and it took years to find the right way back into that world. Scott also acknowledged the fans who kept the sequel alive through their unwavering enthusiasm. The passion of the audience is what brought us here. This film is for them, he said. And that's the epic story behind the making of Gladiator II. What do you think about the 24-year journey it took to get this sequel made? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the world of film.